Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Home Tech. I'm Jason Griffin, and I'm joined again by Seth Johnston. Seth, how are you?
Doing well, Jason. Any news?
We're on pins and needles here. I have no news to report. As we sit down to record this, my wife is 2 days past her due date, and we are very anxious, getting a little bit nervous and excited, and quite an experience. First child here, and so we're both, just like I said, really on pins and needles, and no news to report as of yet.
Well, for sure, by the next show, you will be a father.
Yeah, I will.
Pretty surreal, I must imagine.
So, Baby Watch 2014 is still in effect here, and I will keep you posted. But yeah, by this time next week, I will most likely be I will be actually a new father. So, pretty exciting.
Well, we're all excited for you on this end. So, I'm sure everybody in the audience is pulling for you too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate that, and
mostly your wife, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's what matters, and we're really hoping it happens soon. She's doing great. She really did have a great pregnancy, and everything has gone really well. No complaints, but we're just at that point now where it's like the anticipation has just mounted so much that it's like, all right, let's go, let's do this thing, and. Yeah, it's great. I'm just trying to be in the moment and really enjoy the whole experience.
Well, good for you guys. I'm really excited for you again. So, I want to take a few moments here to thank everybody for listening. If you want to check out the show notes or leave any feedback, our show notes are going to be located at HomeTech.fm/shows/40. 40th show.
Yeah, we're getting up there, right?
Yeah, no kidding. Only what, 12 away from a full year.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. It goes by so quick, but it's been a fun project, and definitely want to echo your sentiment and just thank people for listening. Also, again, we're over on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast, and if you're not following us there, we'd highly recommend it. Have a lot of fun with Twitter, and I think it's a great place to kind of connect and interact.
Absolutely. So this week in the news, looks like Savant 7.0 is out.
Yes, it has been released into the wild, and as a Savant dealer, we are very excited about that. It is a beautiful app. For people who may not be aware, it was kind of one of the big stories at CEDIA. I shouldn't even say kind of. It was definitely one of the big stories at CEDIA was this new Savant app, and it had been a while since they had updated the app on their home automation platform, and they really had worked hard on it, clearly, because they showed it at CEDIA, and it was kind of a showstopper. Really beautiful new app. Kind of ties into this theme that we've touched on numerous times, where it's sort of about empowering the end user, and it gives the end user a lot more flexibility than they used to have in the old app in terms of like configuring their own scenes, editing scenes, setting up different defaults and presets and things of that nature. But even on top of that, it is a complete overhaul of the whole user interface. Very like photo-centric, photo-driven, really just a gorgeous app, very intuitive, and we're super excited. We're actually finishing up a project right now that we think it is a perfect fit for, and within the next week or two, we will be kind of turning the keys over to the client on this job, and look forward to kind of seeing how they interact with the new app and really putting it through its paces with an actual client, right? Because that's always the true test. Like, we're techie people. We can look at the app and very intuitively figure it out. But it's really what makes or breaks it is that client experience. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, this thing looks good. It's designed well, with modern design. It's probably one of the most modern looking apps that I've seen on a control system to date. Mm-hmm. And I really like, my favorite feature is the user being able to, do things and change things up a little bit. I know we talked with about ping last week, and that's one thing that they've allowed to do as well. So I really like that trend. I really hope to see more home automation companies introduce, some type of user configuration and scene changing and things in, because that's really what people want when they want to control their home. They don't just want to hit a button. They want to actually control and reconfigure and kind of get in there and tweak things if they want to. And if they don't, they hit a pretty picture and it makes things happen. So
exactly. And, it's a win-win for the integrators as well, because we really, our business model is about doing installs, and we know that service and maintenance is our lifeblood because that's what leads to our referrals, and it's a hugely important part of our business. But if we're honest with ourselves, it's really, at least the way we're structured, and I think it's safe to say most integrators have their businesses structured, is that's not really where we make our money. And so we really want to be able to focus on deploying systems and having it be stable, having our end users be really happy, and then we can move on and do another one, right? And so I think anything that can be done to kind of empower the end user to where they don't have to call me if they just want to like tweak their good night scene and make, maybe add a light to it or remove a light from it. That's stuff that an end user just should be able to do. And at the DIY end of the market, where new solutions are being engineered from the ground up for that functionality, that's just kind of taken for granted. But traditionally, with systems like Crestron or Savant, that hasn't always been an option for the end user. And so I'm excited to see that the traditional kind of big players in home automation are starting to embrace that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a Savant dealer, so I don't know too much about this. You probably know a lot more than I do. But is Savant 7.0 just the interface, or are there other like back-end features like that help dealers out, or is it just?
Yeah, it's a great question, and to be honest, actually, our programmer, our lead programmer, actually, a good friend of mine, Nolan, he listens to the show. Nolan, if you're listening, here's a shout out to you. He's been really just great with this update. Like, he went to the training for it and sent out a great email that kind of had all the bullet points in it. And I need to review it a little bit more because I'm so like kind of high level traffic directing these days that I haven't jumped completely into the nuts and bolts. I do know that there have been changes and upgrades in the back end that are supposed to kind of, I think, make things sort of run better and make it easier on the programmer. But generally speaking, what people are excited about with Savant 7.0 is the front end. And I think they've done some smart things, though. Like I do know that they've made this app to where it can run concurrently with the old app. So if you have a client who's maybe had their system for 6 months or a year and they're very comfortable with True Control and they know how to use it, it's not like you have to sort of push them off that edge and make them jump to 7.0. You can deploy it and they can run basically both apps like concurrently, and they can kind of switch back and forth as they start to get comfortable with the new app, which I think is really smart.
Yeah, and that's really nice. I mean, that's a great user experience too. Is you don't want to completely abandon. They may like how one at the old interface did something better or something. They may like something better that it did, and they want us to track and forth. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and interestingly, they're actually teasing in emails that are going out to the dealers that the what they call the True Control app, which is like the version before this new one, has, I guess, a pretty major update coming as well. So they haven't like abandoned that one. I get the impression that they're going to sort of keep developing that and supporting it. And this is kind of like an add-on. So it basically just gives end users more options, which I think is really cool. And we've actually reached out to Savant and we've exchanged a few emails with them, and we're going to try to get them on the show as just a little teaser here. We don't have a date lined up yet, obviously, because things are a little bit crazy in all of our lives, particularly mine right now. But Savant is a product I'm very excited about, and I really hope that we can get somebody on soon from the company to kind of share more about this update.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. So it looks like there's another company that starts with an S that did a little update today. Sony announced a streaming TV service.
Yeah, they did, and it looks interesting. It's called the PlayStation View TV service, and it looks like we've heard rumors about Apple sort of exploring a similar option. Where it is kind of geared towards replacing your need for a cable box. And so they've actually got, partnerships that they're announcing with different network partners like I see Discovery Communication channels. There's a lot of Fox Networks channels, NBC Universal, CBS channels. So like big partners, right? Mainstream content providers. And I don't know the full details about like what content is going to be available, but it's all kind of a streaming deal, and you are going to pay sort of a monthly fee to PlayStation, and you'll have kind of DVR functionality. And they also talked about that similar functionality to like what Dish has, where you get the primetime shows where you can go back and watch those, I think for like 3 days back or whatever it is. And so just kind of some cool features. And it's interesting to see that Sony is moving into the space.
Yeah, and it's really cool because CBS and HBO announced a couple weeks back that they were going to offer a streaming service. That HBO is going to be like $5 a month or something. So I mean, for cord cutters, this seems like a pretty cool pretty cool time to be living in. You just have to have a PlayStation, it looks like. Maybe in the future you'll be able to go directly right onto the TV screen and just play whatever channel, HBO, CBS, Discovery. You could just play those stations right off the TV without having to own a PlayStation. So that's
right.
Hopefully that's the future. I mean, it looks like it's lining up to be that, and Sony looks to like be leading the pack here.
Yeah, and like I found the little area in the story here, kind of what I was alluding to. And so they talked about the Dish Network has the functionality where you can go back and watch primetime shows for 7 days. Looks like Sony's service will actually let viewers save favorite shows to like a cloud, basically like a cloud DVR. It says no storage restrictions or scheduling conflicts is what they're saying. This is like a beta right now is what they're announcing, an open beta. And it looks like during the beta trial, you're going to get access to 75 channels. And they say that the pricing and packaging details will be revealed, when it's more close to like the commercial launch. But they are quoted as saying, PlayStation View is changing the rules for how people pay for subscription TV, and end quote. And they're explaining, that viewers will basically pay for what you watch at competitive prices. And I don't know, like, I think it's going to be so hard to get the networks away from that bundled pricing cable business model. You know what I mean? Like that model is just so entrenched that I think Sony and Apple and anyone who goes into this trying to break that model is going to have an uphill battle, but it's still exciting to see that that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody can do it, it's probably a company like Sony or one of these very large companies that has all these connections into TV and media. People use Sony gear everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they know who to talk to, I would assume. So
yeah. But, I mean, they're a giant. It also says here that the service will become available on iPads.
Oh, that's cool.
So that it's kind of like a little footnote, one sentence at the bottom of the story. They don't give a lot of information on what exactly that means or what shape it'll take, but definitely a big move by Sony.
Yeah, we don't talk about Sony much. They've been kind of quiet for a couple of years.
Yeah, I feel like we were talking about that before we started recording tonight because it's just been crazy in the smart home space lately, like with Samsung and Apple and Google, and it's like Sony's been kind of the dark horse. Even Microsoft we've been talking about quite a bit, and Sony's just sort of been quiet, and maybe that'll start to change.
Yeah, I actually had my rep in this week. They rep Sony, and he was telling us about the XBR TVs, the new like the 4K TVs that Sony has. There's only like maybe 3 or 4 models of them, but he said that they had you could play PlayStation games on them now, and I was like,
yeah,
what the heck is that? And yeah, so all you need now with these Sony 4K XBR TVs is a wireless Sony controller, and you can stream PlayStation 3 games, like select PlayStation 3 games, it says, right onto the TV. And I did a little research on it here before the show, and it looks like it's kind of a beta program right now. So I'm just curious if there's any listeners out there who are actually able to use this or able to check it out. I don't own a 4K Sony TV, and even if I did, it'd be in storage right now. So, but I definitely be curious to see how that's working out for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'd be great if anybody listening has experience with that. Just let us know. We got a feedback page at HomeTech.fm. Or again, we've got our SpeakPipe page that we haven't promoted in a while, but that's speakpipe.com/HomeTech.fm. And you can leave like up to a 90-second voicemail there, and give us a call and let us know like if you're using that and you've had experience with that, because we're both pretty curious about it. And also, if you would just want to call and say hi, we would welcome that too.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really curious to see if anybody's been able to play around with that beta service that Sony's offering.
Yeah.
And here's a quick pro tip that I learned with Sony ES receivers. So this is their higher end receivers. I think they probably run $1,000 and up. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
They're made for the pro install channel. So only I don't think you'd go to Best Buy and buy one of these receivers. But they have like things that are really nice for integrators built into them, like switches. Like some of them have, actually the high-end model has a PoE switch built into it, so you can plug in touchscreens into it and power them up. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Evidently, there's a feature on the ES receiver line that you can take a Sonos media player, so the Kinect, and plug it in, and you tell the receiver inside in the settings that there's a media player connected. And when the Sonos, it detects music coming from the Sonos, the receiver will kick on and actually go to the preset volume level that you set up in the receiver. Which that's really cool because you don't even need like a control system involved. You can just launch the Sonos Zone from the Sonos app. And
yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, that's really really neat because I've always had a problem with using Sonos and then having a traditional surround sound in somebody's house. You put the Kinect in and you give them a button on the remote that says Sonos, and then you say, okay, now pick up the app,
right,
and actually use the Sonos system like it's intended to be. And
yeah, and at that point, every other room in the house is like all you have to do is grab the phone, open the app, and turn it on, and you have music. And then you have to explain to them that in this one room, there's an extra step. And a lot of times with clients that aren't very tech savvy, that just is enough to just annoy them where they won't end up using the music in that room because it just like they don't get it. It doesn't make, which in their defense, it makes sense because the rest of the house, like you just grab the app and it just works. And so that's why something like this, which might sound on the surface like it's sort of a small thing, actually is a very, very nice feature.
Yeah, in the past, what I've done when this issue came up, I sold another Kinect amp and then ran the audio for the Kinect amp and the Sony receiver for the rear channel speakers through one of those
switch.
Like an old Niles AB switch. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when I wanted to listen to surround sound, when the surround sound receiver was on, the switch kicked over and was playing the surround sound. But when the surround sound receiver is off, it would play the Sonos Kinect amp.
Yeah,
and I mean, there's a low tech way of doing that.
Yeah,
but this is definitely better, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. I think that's, like I said, might seem like a small thing on the surface, but just one of those nice touches that you can put on a system to make it a little bit easier for the end user, which I think is always a win. All right, well, speaking of, we were talking about the cable business and that sort of thing. We've also got a couple of satellite TV providers here that were in the news this week. Looks like DirecTV is officially launching their 4K service on Friday, so kind of a limited rollout in a sense. It's not like their whole channel lineup is switching over to 4K, but I think it's a good sign because that's still been kind of the chink in the armor, so to speak, of 4K is just a lack of content being out there. And I was excited to hear this news from DirecTV.
Yeah, content has been one of the big issues with selling 4K TVs. So this is definitely nice. It looks like they're gonna support just a handful of channels, 20 movies from Paramount, and a couple of other things. It looks like, but that's enough for some people. You pay for an awesome picture, and you can't watch very much on it. So
yeah,
this is good.
No, it's perfect timing. We actually just this week put in for a client one of the new Planar, like the 98-inch 4K TVs from Planar, and super high-end TV, really nice. And it just is, we feel like it's a shame, right? Because all it's got, it's a 4K TV and it's capable of so much more. And it's a big enough TV, like a 98-inch TV, where 4K would really be visible, on a smaller TV.
At that point.
Big time. And so then I saw this story come across, I think just today is when I noticed it. And, like I said, kind of limited rollout, but at least it's starting to happen. And just excited to see more of this as more and more kind of networks and content providers jump on board. I think, like we talked about in a recent episode, we're still a little ways away from seeing like live broadcast, sports, for instance, because I mean, if you think about it, still really nobody's even doing like 1080p broadcasting. It's all like 1080i is basically what you're getting, and so to get up to 4K, it's still a bit of a leap. And in terms of the production and all the work that has to go into that, I think we still got a ways to go. But at least we're starting to get some movies and some on-demand content, and hopefully that'll be enough to kind of tide some people over.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it's definitely nice to be able to at least show people, if you have DirecTV in your showroom or they have DirecTV at their house, you hook up a 4K TV. It's definitely nice to be able to be able to utilize all those pixels for something.
Yeah, definitely.
So speaking of service providers upping their game, it looks like EchoStar, which is the parent company of Dish Network, has unveiled a home automation.
Say it.
Hub.
Never gets old.
Nope.
Yeah, they have. They're calling it Sage. And again, EchoStar is the parent company of Dish Network. So this is likely, the speculation at least is from that'snotfunny.com story. And this is being billed in this story as Dish's entry into the home automation market, which makes sense. I mean, their managed service providers all over the place are looking at the smart home and trying to stake their claim. And this looks like it'll probably take shape as Dish's entry into that smart home market.
Yeah, there's not much information to go on from the story. It's just a press release and a little, actually a tweet. Mm-hmm. But it looks like a nice little system that they've come up with, and it makes sense. We talked about last week that Verizon was going to have Z-Wave built into their Fios router, and I guess that's a hub too. So I'll ring the bell a little bit late.
If it's not now, it will be, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, all these service providers are going to get into this game and offer a little bit extra with their product because, they can charge a little bit extra per month. So I guess for them, it makes sense.
Yeah, and it looks like this box is going to contain Zigbee, Z-Wave, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi. So more of a hub in the true sense of the word than something like Verizon, for instance, where they were just sticking with Z-Wave, it seemed like, which I thought was a little bit curious, but kind of makes sense because it's, I think, easier to support. They can kind of do a more closed ecosystem and make support a little bit easier. But also looks like this is designed to utilize your TV as kind of a user interface for the system. So you might have like a button on your Dish remote where, an interface will pop up and show you the cameras, maybe the temperature inside the house, and kind of give you a nice overlay on top of the screen of what you're watching, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's a neat idea, and definitely will be interested to see kind of how this takes shape.
Yeah, I would love to have that with Control 4, guys, if you're listening.
The overlay, right?
Yeah. I mean, Control 4 has been, they were famous for the interface that they came out with. You press the button and it goes over to the Control 4 interface. And that's what really helped launch their company. And you would go to any install and see that interface and know that there's a Control 4 system here. But having that overlaid over the video has just always been one of my wish list items. And I know it's probably really tough to do because I mean we're talking 4K video these days. How do you do the processing power has got to be pretty enormous to do that. And I know that in the past couple of years some specialized chips have been released that can do this easily. So I'm just glad to see that those are being utilized, and we're getting little boxes like this that can do really nice HD overlays over HD video.
Yeah. So Control 4, you listening?
Million ideas, man. Not all of them are good, but I have a million ideas.
They're there. That's what counts.
Exactly.
All right, Seth. Well, I think we can wrap up here. A lot of going on in the news this week. So we, also with the personal life stuff, didn't really lump an interview, and just kind of wanted to sit down and catch up on the news with you.
Yeah, we weren't even sure we were going to have a show.
Yeah, no, I know. And we keep talking about it like I I want to try to keep pushing through and try to get an episode out every Monday. But again, we'll just kind of have to see how things go.
Yeah, well, we'll make it happen one way or another. And, if you're too busy, the friend of the show, Mike Wolf, has volunteered to step in and help out where he can. So he may be on next week with me.
Which is great. I think he probably will need to be. And Mike, if you're listening, just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you. We definitely appreciate it, and always enjoy having you on the show. I think it'll be great. I look forward to listening.
Yeah, he's totally a great guy, and really fun to be around in person too. I mean, we had a couple of drinks at CEDIA.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. So
right on. All right, Seth. Well, I will let you go. Have a great week.
You too, Jason. Take care.
All right, you too.